thinking about muscle as the organ of longevity, and what does that mean? You and I were talking on the way to the gym this morning about how muscle is the easy lever to pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about content, function, and context. And I always have like fun or categorical ways of thinking about things. So when you and I have been having our conversations about muscle-centric medicine and the evidence behind it, I tend to mentally categorize these things into content, function, and context. And in general, focusing on each of those three areas of the skeletal muscle allows you to create the foundation and the signals for muscle to be in its optimal state of health and integrity and function and the context. And that context is really the functional medicine component layer to that whole experience. Because if you've got inflammation, if you've got gut bugs, parasites, dysbiosis, if you're not digesting and you're malabsorbing, and you've got your micronutrients all over the board, then that context is suboptimal, and you're never going to fully achieve the full muscle health potential.
Right.
So muscle health potential is that other area that we've been really thinking on is we already do a fantastic job of quantifying muscle health potential and acknowledging we can do so much better in this, and that area.
Yeah.
We get to focus on that with every patient. We said, what's your true muscle health potential? Where are you hitting some roadblocks? What are the things that you already know that are blocking you? How can we make it simple and easy to address those? But then what are the things maybe you haven't even thought about that are driving the bus, that are creating complexity for you when you don't need it? So really removing barriers that people didn't even know were barriers. That's the real exciting part of the job that we get to do.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on some of the barriers that, again, it is about muscle as this pinnacle of health. And exactly what you're saying is number one, muscle is the easiest organ to influence. Mm-hmm. It's not fat tissue. That's pathology. But skeletal muscle, mm-hmm. When we think about the concept of muscle-centric medicine, which you guys, we will be doing more episodes like this that will outline, what are the medications that can potentially affect skeletal muscle health in a negative way? What are the medications that can protect and potentiate skeletal muscle health? There's all ways in which when we focus on muscle as the pinnacle, the levers that we can pull to drive health and wellness and this trajectory of aging and just being a stud your entire life, right? It's, or studette, whatever, begins with this incredibly powerful organ system, which mm-hmm. is skeletal muscle. And you were saying that we're working on tools. We've just created a new assessment for how we can identify muscle health. We could talk about that. I would also love for you to mention some of the roadblocks and things that we treat on a daily basis.
Right. Muscle health assessment questionnaire. We're trying to figure out and create something that didn't exist, which would be a yardstick, something that anyone can take to understand where they at with their muscle health potential, and to create a bit of a composite metric or a score to where you can take our questionnaire that we'll make available in due time. Just need a little more refinement, and you'll be able to understand where you're at with your muscle health potential. And that will highlight, the opportunities for improvement. So I'm super excited about that. And other educational material, ebooks and whatnot. We'll be talking about some of these hidden things, hidden stressors that are preventing you from achieving your optimal muscle health potential.
Yeah.
And that's medications like you touched on, hormonal axis, mm-hmm. Derangements or dysfunction. And that can be thyroid, adrenal, that can be sex hormone. But there's so many ways of optimizing that, and so many ways that people are suboptimal, and even symptoms that you can easily identify that we say are check engine lights at home, to where if you're experiencing these check engine lights, look for this in the ebooks that we come out with. But if you're experiencing these check engine lights, then you should get them evaluated, or you can maybe take these steps for self-care first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hormonal axis is one. Dysbiosis, maldigestion, malabsorption. So really focusing on the gut, another huge area.
Huge.
Yep. And we definitely do deep dive with every patient on that.
We have to.
Yep.
Special. Now, again, our practice services elite military warfighters, but we also service anyone ready to get after it. I mean, if you vibe with what we are talking about and the way in which we are, you can bet your bottom, no pun intended, how's my mom joke? Mom jokes are coming in hot.
That was a good one.
That everybody has, it's interesting. Everybody has some gastrointestinal exposure. I really think it's almost the elephant in the room. And here's why, a couple reasons why. Let's say you deployed, you went to X, Y, and Z, right? So did you go to Afghanistan? Did you go to Africa? Anywhere you went, you're going to pick something up. I truly believe Guaranteed. That. Listen, 100% of our patients who have traveled to these countries come back with things that maybe they don't initially realize that are that's creating gut inflammation, malabsorption, when we do nutrient testing. But the other thing is that we eat foods from all over the world. We now live in a global world. We are not just eating locally sourced foods. Right. You might get an avocado from Ecuador, right? My dad lives in Ecuador. You're eating foods that are coming from all over. So yes, we do a very deep dive into gut health, which actually includes infectious disease. Right. We don't do the standard.
I'm amazed at the amount of resolution people will get from just looking and then addressing the infectious disease component, intestinal related. And that's something I was not on my radar, at least to the degree of what I'm aware of now as being part of your practice, to how to test, how to look. And you've definitely established some best practices that I'm honored to have access to now on how to really get after true gut health, intestinal integrity, function, dysbiosis, and the parasites and worms. Like we get to learn things about people that nobody else knows.
And they also don't want anyone to share.
Right, 100%.
Want me to send you a picture? No, thank you. Yeah. We do not want to see a picture of that.
Right. So yeah, the population that we end up serving, especially the fact that they've hit the wall with conventional approaches to care, it ends up being some of the things that people don't normally test, don't normally look for that we do on the regular. And that's thinking about things like mold exposure, thinking about things like the potential for Lyme, thinking about things dysbiosis or parasite or worm related. And supporting simple things like supporting digestion. Literally the correct use of things like prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, betaine HCl, and oxbile support. So those things are not common tools in the toolboxes for conventional training, and we get a chance to use that every day for the patients that need it. Yeah. Right. So yeah, those hidden drivers that are taken away from your muscle health potential, we address them all the time. That's part of that context, and that's like the special third component of the muscle health framework is the content, the function, and the context. And the context really allows us to get after that functional medicine component of this approach. And that's the beauty that I've found in our approach to care now, is that we get to layer in the best of kind of both focuses. And I'll tell you that fire in my belly is hot for the muscle-centric focus, because it's the Pareto law. It's the 20-80 principle. It's keeping it simple. And then we get to remove all these hidden barriers that are preventing you from focusing small and getting big results.